Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Julie Bartkus. Welcome to the Childcare Business Success Show. It is such a thrill to be here on this gorgeous Monday evening, and I hope you'll all be joining us to de-stress. And we've got a great show lined up for you, and as well as some prizes, so you're going to want to stay tuned. And many of you know the routine now with the prizes that we have on the table. So we're going to continue to do that for our most engaged person from the past week. You're going to get a marketing video, and Jonna and Stephanie will be letting me know who that winner is before we wrap up this show. So you're going to want to stay tuned. And then what we're also going to be doing is if you go out to your groups, your director groups, your owner groups, tell your owner director friends about the show, and it's happening right now, and they come and write your name in the comment section of this broadcast, you are going to win the yummiest brownies on the planet. So go out there and tell everybody you know that the Childcare Business Success Show is happening right now, and you might just be that prize winner. I'm super excited about tonight's show because it's giving me the opportunity to reconnect with some of my long-time friends. And the guest I have tonight is the author of Reject Me, I Love It. And I just wrapped up an owner's retreat here in my home. We spent 3 days together. And one of the things that always comes up is about our mindset. So if you can relate to mindset issues, specifically the fear of being rejected or the need for approval, give me an "oh yeah, Julie" in the comment section. And also just say hello. Let me know who's tuning in and where you're calling in or tuning in from. And we'll see if we can get you a shout out later on as we progress through the show. Also, if any questions come up and I don't get to answer them, feel free, leave those in the comments. And I will come back and peruse through your questions and also see if John can come back and answer some questions for you as well. So we'll try to do the best that we can in our 60 minutes this evening, because that is my promise, to get the show to be just at 60 minutes. I know we always have so much good content. I want to go longer and longer and longer, but tonight we're really going to try to stick to it. So if you're here, say hello. Hey, Nikki, nice to see you. I'll put Nikki up here. Nikki says, "Oh yeah, nice to see you." She says hello. Hey, Loretta's also here. Nice to see you, Loretta Watson. Let me see here. Where's Loretta? There you are. Loretta, nice to have you here. All right. So I am ready for a rockin' show this evening. And when I think about rejection and some of the conversation that came up over the weekend had to do with why we don't challenge ourselves to get out of our comfort zone. Because if we really needed 5 enrollments or 10 enrollments, this is a hyper-connected world. And there is no reason why we can't have full programs. If we were to go out and just do a couple things, number 1 is make ourselves visible. Number 2 is to ask people to enroll. And I'm talking about asking people who have come in and toured previously. Can you ask them to enroll? If you haven't heard from people or people have left your program, can you call them and ask them to enroll? Can you ask for referrals? Can you ask for testimonials? But we're not really doing a lot of these things as consistently as we can because we're all dealing with the fear of rejection. Well, my friend John, many, many years ago, has learned to turn this around. And to share tonight on this show, he's going to share with us some amazing principles and strategies. And we're going to have a fantastic conversation about why we should all embrace rejection. Are you ready? Who's Lara? Hey, Lara, nice to see you here. Lara's here. And who else is here? I see Jonna. John is here. Nice to have you here. Melissa's here. So afraid of rejection. Thank you for this. You're welcome. And if there's any topics you would like to see me present in the future, let me know. But rejection, and I sent John a text earlier and I said, wouldn't the world be different if nobody was afraid of being rejected? So I'm going to bring up to my lobby my special guest, John Fuhrman, and I can't wait to get on with this topic. Here we go. All right, John, you're going to come on up to the lobby and join me. Hey, John.
How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. What an absolutely fantastic way for us to have a reunion.
Yeah, all the way from Maine. Bringing you lobster wishes.
That's awesome. And Maine is a gorgeous place. I'm sure your weather's warming up nicely there.
Oh, yeah, we get in the 70s.
Very nice. Yeah, we're actually going to be doing a Create My Dream Team experience, an event that I host in the Boston area in October when it's absolutely beautiful. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
working on that. And John and I know each other, so we have to tell our story a little bit. So John and I know each other from the New England Speakers Association, which I think had one of the strongest speaking communities that I've ever been part of. And I really just loved that group. And I don't know if I've got my picture somewhere here on my desk. Oh, maybe I left it upstairs. But I actually found a picture the other day of Les Brown and I at one of our luncheons that we had. So I'll have to find that one sometime and post it for everybody because it's a picture I can't lose. but one of the,
Good
go
time.
ahead. Yeah, do you
That was a
remember?
good group.
Yeah. And one of the people who I remember meeting, well, you, of course, and you stood out. I think you were speaking at the association and it was about rejection. I'm like, what a fantastic topic. So tell us, John, what was your journey like to get you to write this book? And I think you said you sold over 50,000 copies.
Oh, that was then. It's closer now to about 200,000.
To a few 100,000. And this is the old one that I had when I met John. Do you have the new one,
Yeah,
John?
I do. Yeah, we just, I don't know if there we go. If I hide behind it, it'll work better. But this is, what I did was I updated it for the 20th anniversary. That'll give you an idea how long ago I wrote it. And,
and how long we've known each other.
Yes, that's right. Somehow only one of us aged, but that's all right. I can handle that. I'll write a book about that too. But it was interesting. I came out of a sales background after I got out of the military, and I never really thought about rejection as an issue. And as I evolved or got promoted in my career, it was one of those moments where you go, Jesus, is this all I'm going to do? And I started fiddling around, saying, you know what, maybe I'd like to be a writer, when I grow up. And I knew nothing about the process, how the industry worked, or anything. So I just started sending letters to publishers. And one of the good things is that I was never without mail because they kept sending me letters back saying, no, thank you. And somewhere in my files, I actually have the 100 letters that I would receive from publishers that probably a lot of your viewers know, that said, no, we're not interested. And it wasn't until the 101st publisher kind of contacted me and said, you might have something here. And I said, well, write what I know. I said, if I know nothing else in this process, I understand rejection now after getting all these wonderful letters saying we're not interested. But it was interesting because I wanted to write a sales training book. That was my background. That's what I knew. I knew how to train people in selling. And, the publisher, my first publisher, was wise way beyond his years because he said, well, I want you to go to Barnes & Noble and I want you to look at all the books that have to do with sales training. And then imagine your book stuck in there. And then call me back. And I said, okay, I don't know why, but I went down and did what he said. And I looked and I still didn't get it. And he said, even if you wrote the best sales book ever, you've got to cover all of those titles. Then I started to understand from a business standpoint. And he was like, listen, instead of getting a piece of the pie, why don't we make a new pie? And he asked me, and this was really funny because publishers don't know a lot about business and they know less about sales. So he said, would you be interested, right? I'm desperate to be a writer. Would I be interested? Would I be interested in writing a book about rejection? And I said, well, and I lied. I said, of course. As a matter of fact, that was going to be my second book. And he said, well, if you make it your first book, we'll give you a contract. So I said, okay, fine. And literally 90 days after that, the first draft was done.
Oh, wow. 90 days.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So how many rejections did you get before you got in through the door to actually get something published?
Over 100.
Yeah.
And, for most people, that doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. But you know, I had a little bit of success with that in some of my other books, and you know, then you get invited to writers' conferences. Hey, tell us your secret. I didn't have one, so it kind of made for a limited program. But what I noticed was a lot of people that said they wanted to be writers sent out like 5, 6, 10 letters, and they got rejected. And they said, "Well, I guess I'm not a writer." And I always found that odd that, you know, 5 or 6 decisions from other people that you don't even know is going to change the way you live your life. That just never made any sense to me. You know, in other words, I just kept going because all I knew about publishing was once you signed a contract, you couldn't work for anybody else. So the logical answer was, well, then all I need is one person to say yes. And so when I get one that said no, I just send out another letter. That was my magic. I mean, if people say, well, how did you finally break through? I didn't stop. You know, I mean, I was hoping to catch a guy on a bad day looking to fill a book order or something, and he would say yes. I didn't care. I just wanted to see my name on the cover of a book. That was my goal. I had a very low bar back in those days. So that's what I advise people. The magic is if you're looking for a particular answer, the no's along the way are irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You know, I mean, yeah, I could rattle off some of the names of the top publishers that turned me down, but that might be 4 or 5. The other 95, I don't remember their names. I'd have to look them up in the folder because they're not relevant. You know, other than it was along the way, because I only needed one yes.
Right.
You know, so when you relate back to selling, I mean, I spent, before I left on the speaking road, 20 some odd years in the auto industry. And I can't remember the single name of a person that told me no, they didn't want to buy from me, because it's not relevant. I got paid for the people that said yes.
Right.
You know, and it's the same thing with all of your viewers, all of the people that come to you for advice. What are you looking for? The yeses or the nos? And the answer is the yeses. But if you're not willing to take the no, you can't get the yeses. They're not coming. You know, there's no way to sit in your office or at your window or on your front stoop and go, that person coming up the walk is a yes. I know it. I can feel it. You know, you don't know.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. All you get in life are opportunities. How they end up, we can't control. All we can do is do our best.
So how do you start dealing with it, John? So let's, you know, put you in the mindset of some of our viewers. I know people deal with this where they put themselves out there, and this is a very personal business, you know, similar to writing a book or anything that you do. You know, you put your heart and your soul and your passion into what you're doing, and it's all on the line. And you ask somebody to enroll in your childcare program, or you ask for something, whether it's financing from a bank or a client testimonial, and you don't get a no, or you get a maybe, or you get a silence. How in your mind do you jump to the place to maintain the mindset that the yes is coming, the yes is on the way if you get through enough no's? Because it seemed like what you were doing, you were saying, okay, no, 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 no. Yeah, the yes is out there. It's coming. It's coming. But how do you not crumble and shut down in the meantime?
All right. Well, that's the key. Because the reality is this, you know, your audience, your clients, your connections that are all in your industry. If I said, I want you to count the amount of no's you got in the last 30 days, would come up with a number that probably would even surprise them. And yet every one of them survived. No one was injured. They're not hospitalized. They don't need therapy, right? They survived it. What happens, though, is this. Especially, like you said, when you put everything you've got into putting your best foot forward, whether it's for business, financing, as you said, or just dealing one-on-one with an individual for something as simple as a testimonial, you're faith and your confidence in yourself is shaken. All right. Now, if I can be perfectly blunt with your audience, rejection sucks. It's never going to get any better. It's never going to be fun. No, I don't sit here and go, well, if I can get rejected today, it's going to be a good day. I don't like it any more than anybody on this call. But what I've come to realize is that unless I'm willing to put myself out there and take that chance, I have no chance of success at anything. But what happens internally is when that first person tells you no, we immediately go into self-analysis. What happened? Why did they say no? And there could be a logical explanation. You caught them at a bad time. They're in a rush. Someone in their family, might be having a particular problem that's really tearing at this person. In other words, their life plate is full. It's got nothing to do with you, but they said no. However, we don't see that. In our head, we go, what did I do wrong? Is it the way I asked them? Is it my clothes? Is it, is it this place? Or am I not supposed to be? And we create this massive fault with ourselves. And that's only phase one. Phase two is we now magnify how much worse it's going to be the next time we ask somebody else. And this fear, this oh my gosh, this next no could be way worse than the one I just had. You know what? I don't deserve that. I'm a good person, so I'm not even going to ask the next person. And that is when rejection or the fear of rejection takes over, and it can wreck you. It can wreck your business. It can wreck your personal life. The reality is no is no. It doesn't. It's not important. And trying to analyze the reason for someone saying no, other than a quick appraisal of, and let's talk about business. Maybe they said no because the tuition wasn't what they thought it was going to be, or any associated cost. That person, it maybe one of their neighbors. How can I say this? Because maybe one of their neighbors has a child that's enrolled in a very prestigious program, and you're not that. So that person coming to you is afraid of what their neighbor is going to say. They're afraid of that rejection, so they tell you no. So it's not always us.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what's the outcome that you're looking for? And I heard you earlier talking about increasing enrollment. If you want to increase enrollment and the first person you talk to says no and you stop, you can't possibly achieve that goal.
Absolutely. And I think so many of us, or so many of our childcare owners and directors really get stuck in that fear of rejection, and then they don't do the things. And it might just be one, or it might not even be that they want to hear no at all. They just may want glorious yeses to come along.
Right.
and
we all go through that.
Yeah.
But by the same token, Julie, I think that you have to go with the attitude that everybody's going to say yes initially, because that's confidence. In other words, if I sent out letters knowing that they were going to come back rejection, I'd have jumped off my roof. So I always assume, and I mean, I can tell you the ritual. I'd sit there and I'd write the letter. Maybe I'd recraft it a little bit. Maybe I'd send them different chapters. Just try to give them a different look. And I would send that one out. And, as soon as it literally got picked up by the Postal Service, I'm now focused on how much my royalty check is going to be and where I'm going on vacation. So when I get the rejection letter back, it hit me harder. You know what I mean? Because now I'm not getting all these things that went into my head. However, as I'm writing the next one, I'm putting those things back in my head. I have to have that confidence to go forward. Yes. Because the reality is this. It's like the same thing. People say, how did you sell so many books? The answer is I don't know. But what I do know is how to sell one and then repeat the process.
Right.
So and it's all about connections. You mentioned referrals. I mean, my whole life has been about referrals. And whether it was when I was speaking on stage, as soon as I was done and they said, pat you on the back, say, hey, listen, while I've got your attention and you're happy with the way things are going, who can you call on my behalf? And that's a big suggestion for all your folks here. Asking for referrals is great. And if you're doing that, that's tremendous. But asking that person to make the call for you is huge.
Mm-hmm.
A very good friend of mine from long ago, a big business mentor, that's what he did. He would go in and, we would be talking about a 6-figure deal. And the customer client was like, okay, where do I sign? I'm ready to go. And he'd be like, not so fast. I'm sitting there going, this is a 6-figure deal. Shut up and sign. And he'd go, no, remember our deal. If you liked what you saw, you were going to call 2 people. And the guy looked at him and said, well, I will. Let me just sign this. No, call him now. And he literally pushed the phone toward the guy. And I'm sitting there, I'm going crazy because this is a big deal. But I watched that guy grow his area, which was the smallest area in the United States, to bring in more money than states like Texas and California and New York. And he only had like 3 cities.
Wow.
But he had everybody. So there's no one right way to ask for a referral, but you got to ask. If someone says, boy, Timmy had a great week, fantastic. Does Timmy have any friends? Yeah. Do they have good weeks? Could you call them for him? Here's my card, just have them call me, or you call them, or here, use my phone. Make it very relaxed. Because again, it's about connection. Some people are going to say no today, and next week something happens where they can come back. So it's not a permanent no.
Right.
Things happen. So
yeah, and they could, even in this business, they could have said no a year ago. They could have even left your program thinking the grass was greener on the other side, and now they're ready to come back. But if nobody's asking, they might not even know that door is open.
Absolutely.
And I just want to give a shout out to all our viewers out there too. If you're here tuning in, say hello. I see John is posting some great comments. And if you have any questions for John or myself as we progress with tonight's show, please feel free and ask them. But you know me, I thrive on interaction, and we've got some brownies to give away this evening. If anybody would like to go and share this program out and get some folks coming back here to write your name in the comment section. Also, the most engaged person over the past week through this evening is going to get one of our free marketing videos that we've been posting in our Childcare Business Success group for you. And if you're not yet a part of our group, do a search. Jonna will post also the link for you so that you can come and be a part of our free closed group, which is just an opportunity for us to build a little bit of a closer relationship. And we've got a great community, international community in there. So I encourage you to come and be a part of it. And even if you're tuning in and you could hear John and I, okay, just say hello so we know that we're loud and clear and looking beautiful for you, especially John.
Wow. Goes without saying.
So one of the things, and John, I hope you'll retype this as well, is that you said that when we hear no, a lot of the times it's not even about us. But we're so good at internalizing no's and making it about us. So is there any suggestions, and perhaps you've coached people on this, or just even in your sales career, you've learned the magic of really not internalizing the no's, but more so focusing on the yes that you know will be coming. So you said when you put your book out there, you got no, but you still stood in confidence, knowing that the yes was coming. So you didn't curl up and crumble, but you kept trudging forward. So what advice would you give to our folks who are thinking, yeah, but when I hear no, it's just kind of like nails scratching on the chalkboard, or it's like somebody telling me outright, you're not worth it, and I'm not giving you money, or you're not worth it, and I'm not going to do it for you. So often when we hear the no, it just becomes a whole story in our head that we're telling ourselves. So how can you start breaking out of that to say, you know what, I'm going to stand in a place of confidence, and I know the yes is coming.
You can get a baseball bat.
For yourself or for the people telling you no?
I'll leave that to your viewers.
Okay.
But here's the thing, and we've all heard the count your blessings, and I like to just think, count your successes. And you almost have to do it every day before you start the day. Here's what I did yesterday. And it could be something simple like I straightened out the books. I organized, my accounts payable, my accounts receivable. I cleaned the blackboard. It doesn't make a difference. All of those things, so that you're actually building your confidence up. The second thing is have a clear plan. And again, I'm not talking about a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan. Those are great. But you got to have a plan to get through today. And I think if whatever business you're in, it can never be about surviving the day. I mean, if you're going to wake up, be successful. I remember when I was a kid, and this might be a guy thing, I don't know, but I always asked my dad, Dad, what should I be when I grow up? And my dad was kind of unusual. He just kind of shrugged and said, hey, I don't care what you are, but whatever it is, just be the best at it. And of course, then when I was about 13, you're a wise guy. So I said, you mean like be a garbage man? And he said, well, if that's what you want to do, but be the best garbage man in town. And it wasn't until years later that I finally realized that you can't have your best day unless you're ready to be your best. And what happens when you do that is not magic. It just changes your focus. So if you look and say, hey, at the end of the day, I'm going to enroll 3 new people. Okay. If that is your focus and you're committed to that, it doesn't matter if the first 3 say yes or the last 3 say yes, or if it's a smattering in between. The goal is 3 people. That should be your only focus. So the answers in between are irrelevant once you have the answer. Up until that point, that person's very important to you. I mean, in sales, we learned the most important customer we're ever going to have is the one we're talking to right now. And I used to treat every client, every customer as the last one I'm ever going to talk to. And when you go in with that, with your confidence, you're going to increase your odds, number one. Number two, the more times you're willing to hear no, the better you're going to get at doing what it is you do. You're practicing, okay? And, I hate to do this. I do live in Maine, which is a very peaceful place, but I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm going to be New Jersey for a minute. Sometimes you're going to talk to people that are just dumb, okay? And they're not going to get it. So don't take it personally. If you do your best every single time and they just don't get it, or some people are just belligerent. They want to pick apart everything you do. Don't put up with it. And the one piece of advice that is not so much a rejection thing as it is a personal sanity thing. Sometimes, as a business owner, you have to do the rejection. Okay.
This is really important.
Yeah. I mean, and I've done a lot with the real estate industry, and I always ask real estate agents, when was the last time you ever fired a seller? And they're like, what? Why would I do that? Well, your sign is fading in their front lawn, and the world is not going to blame them. They're going to blame you. So let them go. Right. And having raised my own children, there are times where, I would consider adoption for them. Not every kid. And a lot of times, the parents are that reflection. If they're way too demanding, if that person, even if they're enrollment number 3, which was your goal for the day, if you bring them in, you accomplish the goal for today, but it might set your business back because of demands that are going to take you away from all the other people who are not so demanding. So, don't be afraid to be the rejector.
Yeah, and I really feel too, John, that when we accept people who I call less than dreamy for our clients, they will reject us. And that leaves us questioning our self-worth too. But we have to realize sometimes the energies are just not in alignment. And if there's something that you are recognizing that's not a good fit, it's better that you take the stand to reject them first before they eventually come back and reject you. And I've been fired by a dentist. I remember my son missed too many appointments and they came up and said, oh, no, we don't reschedule this many times and they're no longer willing to have you as a client. And I'm like, what? A dentist isn't going to take us? So it was just kind of shocking. And I think that was one of the only times I've been fired by a dentist. But, it makes you really open your eyes that there are people who are very particular about the clients who they interact with. And I think we all could get a little pickier in terms of who we're going to be spending all of this time and energy with and on.
Oh, no question about it. Again, I don't think anybody on with us tonight is only going to be in business until tomorrow. Right. So if that's the case, take a look at what you want your operation to look like, 6 months, 6 years down the road. And not, I don't want to get too detailed in planning, but if this person or this family is not part of your ideal, what I want my operation to look like, don't bring them in. I think a good question to ask is, would you do it this way if you were as successful as you want to be? Because if the answer is no, then that's probably what's holding you back.
That's true.
Would that bother you? If that person said no, would that bother you if you were as successful as you wanted to be? No. Okay. So then don't let it bother you, because that's holding you back.
Well, and I think, in my campus, that's what we call a toleration. So when you look at the things that you're tolerating, it's the clients you let in because maybe you need that dollar. But then in the long run, you realize, hey, they're crushing the vision. They are preventing other people who I would consider dreamy or of the right energy from coming into our childcare program. So there's a lot of different things that will not be so right because you're making those ineffective decisions to bring those people on board who you should really be rejecting. So you're tolerating them. So John, I know that you've had a wide sales career. Is there anything that, or any time you can remember where you took a sale for the buck and it didn't turn out right?
Yeah, a lot. But
because we have a lot of people in that position too, and we need to stay in ratio in this industry. So sometimes getting them in through the door means more than just a buck. It also means, kiddo spots, or we're hiring maybe even the wrong staff member because we have to keep our numbers good for our license. So tell me about a time where you just basically took a client in for that buck and it was maybe something you regretted.
I'm not going to give you all the details. I'll kind of get around it only because it was also really embarrassing. Back when I was speaking, and maybe your people aren't familiar with this. One of the goals in being a speaker is you want to have a speakers bureau represent you. That's like a statusy thing, so that someone else is going out and promoting you and getting you work. And because of the rejection and some of the other things, I did a lot of conventions in the network marketing industry, okay, or direct sales, multi-level marketing, that sort of thing. So I get a call from a bureau that I've been wanting to do business with for a long time, couldn't seem to make the connection. And the guy calls me up and he says, I think I have the perfect client for you. And I said, really? Oh, yeah, it's direct sales, multi-level. They're having their annual party, convention, whatever you want to call it. And I said, well, that's great. And he goes, it's even better. It's near where you live. At the time, I was living in New Hampshire. So they said, oh, yeah, it's in New Hampshire. You can commute. And I said, fantastic. He goes, it's not a really big crowd, but, they'll pay your fee. Okay. And it was on a Saturday, Concord, New Hampshire. And I said, great. And I said, well, what's the company? And I don't remember the name of the company, but I remember one of the words in the name of the company was pleasure. Yeah. So I got there and there were a lot of people, which was good. But all the tables around the room were covered. There were things under the cover, right, so that people couldn't see them. And I didn't give it much thought until just as I was about to speak, they pulled the covers off. And I got to be honest with you, I had never seen some of those things in my life. And it was like and the bureau guy was standing in the back of the room. I could not leave, and I didn't want to be there. It was what's the word I'm looking for? Very adult. And yeah, kids would not be allowed in that room. And I didn't realize that they were actually a multi-level marketing company that dealt in that sort of stuff. But yeah, but I needed the money. I made sure that when I was done, I told that bureau, do not put that on my client list ever. I don't want the video. I don't want anything. I don't. So, listen, it happens. But like anything else, you either learn from it or you're going to make a habit of it. I can tell you this, I never worked with that bureau again because I couldn't trust them. And, so that's, it's a mistake, a lesson learned, whatever you want to call it. But we all do that. So now I look at, in any decision I make in business, is it going to bring me closer to where I want to come? To where I want to end up? What's my end game? Where do I want to be a couple years from now? And is this going to bring me closer to that, or is it going to push me further away? And doing that has helped me a lot, in making those decisions. I mean, the other thing too, Julie, is you need to pay attention to your outcomes. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to dwell on them so that they get in your head and you paralyze yourself with not wanting to take the next step. But, when you overcome a bunch of no's and nothing happened to you, that should make you stronger, like to where the no's start to matter less and less. And what I tell people is this, and I got to imagine, in the businesses that you deal with, a lot of stuff is done by appointment. So if I want new enrollments, I want to make as many appointments in as short a period of time as I can. And the reason is that if the first one tells me no, I don't have time to let that get in my head because the next appointment's showing up. And if you get through it, by the end of the day, even if they all said no, you survived.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier to get to the next day.
Yeah.
So,
and that's an important word that you said right there. And I heard it once that Tony Robbins paid like $10,000 to go to this workshop. I forgot who was facilitating it, but he said he learned one word that was critically important to help him really become as successful as he is. And I share this with my clients all the time, but that word is the word that you were just saying, which is the word next.
Yeah.
NEXT. So if you could think to yourself when you get a no or when you feel rejection, hey, next, then that's going to help propel you to a whole new state of mind. And I love what you're saying about do your sales or have your appointment scheduled in a relatively short amount of time. So if you're calling people who, maybe haven't enrolled yet, spend a morning just calling those people so you could hear no, 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 maybe yes, maybe no. So you can get that done. But remember the word next. It's very, very powerful.
Sure. Absolutely.
So in your book, and is the index in your book, John, the same?
Yes.
Yeah, and what John did in his book, I don't know if you could see it, but he made his chapters are listed with the word rejection can stop you. So this is very creative. How long did it take you to think about all these things? Oh, it says, actually, I misread it. Says no rejection can stop you.
Well, the funny thing is that is actually what I wrote first. I literally wrote all my chapters out, and then I started writing the book. And that's just the way I do it. I write the chapter titles, then I write the subheads that I'm going to use in the chapters, kind of like I'm taking notes, and then I just expand on it. And that's just my writing process. And the funny thing is, when you said next, I had a laugh because the second book that I did after Rejecting I Love It is actually called Next.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that came out, I think, 1998 or 99, somewhere around there. But yeah.
Awesome. That is so cool. You have a book called Next.
Yeah,
And if you're interested, and if any of our viewers are interested in your books, John, you could go. Are they available on Amazon?
Yeah, most of them are still on Amazon. With Reject Me, and I don't understand Amazon. I don't pay attention to it the way I should. But you've got to find the one. I know it sounds silly, but with that cover, that's the new one. It's updated. If they find one with your cover that's used, or it could be a ripoff, but it's not going to have the information that I have in this one. And you can get it on Amazon. I think you can get it on the other Amazon affiliated sites. CreateSpace, I think, has them.
Okay, cool.
What we did too on the new one, it's also available on Kindle, where the first one, the original publisher, wouldn't let me do that. So when I did this time, I said, I'm going to make it on Kindle because otherwise my kids won't read it. They don't do Kindle. So.
Well, I'm a big Audible person, so I love listening to audiobooks. Sometimes
call me. I'll read it to you over the phone.
Okay. I love that. That would be some nice time together. I'll have a glass of kombucha and listen to you. I don't even know.
Oh, I know that's a new fancy drink that makes you super healthy.
Yeah, it's this drink.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of my clients are into kombucha as well as I am. So it's a wonderful tea, and you have to drink it out of a wine glass, which can be deceiving because then people are like, you're boozing it up on the air, Julie. It's a no, just drinking my kombucha out of a wine glass or my water.
Only writers in Maine are boozing it up, but not on.
Well, I heard the saying once, write drunk and edit sober?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing for writing, meaning just when you're going to write or when you're going to be in your creative zone, just let loose and then judge after you get the printed. So whether you're drinking or not, that's not really the issue, but it's just to let yourself loose. So let's talk
unless you're writing somewhere and you have to drive home, then it's an issue. So don't do that.
Right. Exactly. So let's just talk a little bit, John, about rejection, because I think about kids, and I've always heard like Zig Ziglar say this, is that kids are natural born salespeople. You could put a child out there and they'll ask for their Christmas present. They'll ask for what they want 20 million ways. The girls will go sell Girl Scout cookies, whatever it might be. They ask. But then somewhere along the line, as we're growing, it becomes a bad thing to ask. So we lose our confidence in ourselves. It's like we go from being champion Girl Scout cookie seller, just as an example, to unconfident person who won't ask for a sale. Why does it seem like there's such a transition that happens when we step into being an adult, trying to sell our business or trying to have that exchange, as opposed to just a kid saying, hey, I want this for my birthday. Hey, I really want that cookie. And if you say no, they come back again and say, I really want that cookie. You say no. They say, well, can I just have a half a cookie? You say no. Well, I'm just going to have a bite. Okay. And they keep coming at it until they get what they want, until they get to that yes. So where is that point, and why is it that we stop when it comes to the rejections or the no's we hear as an adults?
For me, I think it started when I was old enough to date.
That's probably true.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's as we become supposedly more mature, we become more subjected to conditioning. All right, kids, to a certain extent, can be conditioned, but there's a part of them that just won't put up with it. That's the kid part. Mommy, can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have? If you ask me one more time, I'm going to put you on the roof, and all the bats are going to come. Okay, and they're good for like 38 seconds, and then they're like, oh, Mommy, I forgot. Can I have it? They're relentless, and as we get older, we start to hear things like, you get into high school and pick an activity. You want to be in the band. Well, don't get your hopes up. You want to be in the drama club, or you want to be on a sports team. Well, they have tryouts and you may not make it. We're not a very athletic family. We're not a very musical family, or, our family's just, and, well-intentioned people are trying to protect you from being hurt, because that's what parents naturally do. But when do kids have fun? When they're out there just before they skin their knee, and then they come in, they get the Band-Aid, they're right back outside. That's not going to stop them. Our parents, our teachers, coloring outside the lines is not acceptable in art class. Well, why not? Artists do it all the time. That's what makes art. I've got a beautiful art gallery literally right across the street from me. And I always kid them when I go over there, and I say, "Where's the paint by number stuff?" And they're my neighbors, so they laugh at my art ignorance. But the fact is, to hang in an art gallery, it can't be a paint by numbers. It has to be original creation. You don't start with lines that you bought in a store. You create from there, and we lose that. And unfortunately, it's hard to get back, because it's painful. It's how can I just? It's like coming back from an injury. You remember the pain of the injury, you go through the healing process, and then you start to rehab. And if you're an athlete, it's like, I don't have confidence in that part of my body anymore until it proves itself in. Some people, other than professional athletes, never quite give it that chance. They just like, I'm not being paid to be an athlete, therefore I'm not going to test out my knee, or I'm not going to test out my shoulder. I'm just not going to play anymore. So we have to rip off that bandage. And quite frankly, it always comes back for me to the same thing. You've got to have something so important that you're willing to risk even being told no. All right. And whether it's a successful business, a successful relationship, a book, doesn't matter. It has to be bigger than whatever the next person's going to tell you. And that's how you get through it.
That's your vision, everyone. That's your vision. And I preach a lot on vision. So you've got to have that big vision, whether it's personal, professional, a weekly vision, whatever it might be, that will really give you the sense of urgency to overcome those no's that you're hearing. It's your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do it, having a big vision is important, but so is the little one. I tell people there's two focuses in life, the telescope and the microscope. The telescope, you can see the universe and everything that's out there. You go, wow, I want to get out there. But the microscope gets you to today. What can I do today that's going to put me closer to where I want to be? And you have to have that. Even a bad day can move you closer to your goals because you got through it. I love people that are they work paycheck to paycheck, and again, we need those people. They come and they fix our houses, pick up our trash, right? And I'll often ask them, what's your goal this week? I got to make it to payday. If I can make it to payday, I'm going to be in good shape. And people say, geez, that's not a very big goal. It's a goal. And you can build on it. It's when someone has no goals, that's when rejection can swallow you up, and anything else around you can just derail everything, because you have nothing to look forward to.
Right.
It's got to be a prize, even if you come up with it yourself.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is there are ways, and you might have some ideas for us on this, John, but there are ways to build some new connections with the word rejection, and to really monitor the feelings that you're going into when you get rejected. So instead of going to that hurt place or the not worthy place, you can associate that rejection with something new and something different and something exciting. And maybe it's just the yes that's coming right around the corner. But have you ever put that into practice in your life, John, with the no's that you heard, was to learn, like, this no means something different than this hurt place?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd love to give you this profound answer, but I would say at that moment that it happened, probably not. But I look at things, and I try to be as simple as possible. I'm not very eloquent in coming up with these profound things, but I look at a mother, a pregnant woman. The only way for a child to be born is that it's rejected from the mother's body. It's the only way it works. There is no other way for that to happen. You know, no matter how you do it, it's got to be rejected from the mother's body. And the very second it is, it's now a miracle. You know, um, it's like, one of my good friends said, yeah, I wasn't born successful. I was born a baby, and I had to figure it out as I went along.
Right.
But you've got to be born. Ideas, every single one of your followers at some point had an idea that this is what they wanted to do. They didn't just do it and then think about it. They thought about it and then did it. So if that's true, and of course I believe it's true, then in every situation, the very first thing that has to change in anyone's life is their mind. You can't diet successfully until in your mind you realize that that's a change that you want to make. You can't quit smoking. You can't get up and go to work until you decide that that's what you want to do. That's the one element that separates us from every other living thing on this planet. We have the ability to create in our head our outcome before we go out to do it. In fact, it's the only way we don't have instincts the way animals do, where they're just reacting to their surroundings, and their decisions are literally outside their control. We can sit here, look out the window and go, I'm looking out here. I can't even see my backyard. It's so foggy right now. So it's like, well, okay, I guess I'm not going to go for a drive. I made that decision. I can logic that. Now if I said, well, they are having a sale on Ben and Jerry's, so I'm going to put the fog lights on and I'm going to somehow plow through it. Different objective. And that is often what gets people through the possible negative answers along the way. It's one of those things where, hey, if it was easy, everybody'd want to do this, and it wouldn't pay as well.
Well, and I think that's where the hard work is in sales or in entrepreneurship or in leadership, is really maintaining the right mindset to carry you through. So I love what you're saying, because you can totally choose what thoughts you're going to think in any given situation, and you could totally choose how you're going to respond. So I remember, and most people know that my husband had passed instantly back about 6 years ago. And I remember at the time there was a pivotal lesson where it was basically saying, the lesson that I was getting was that, you choose to be sad about death because that's what you're culturally taught. But you can really choose, there's people, they go and have celebrations and there's parades. So you could really choose in any situation that you are in how you're going to feel and how you're going to react and how you're going to move forward with the situation that you're in. So if we have the power to do that with things like death or sickness or illness or whatever might happen, devastation, we could definitely do that when we're on a sales call, hearing the words no. You could just propel your mind to a whole different place to say, isn't that interesting? That person, I'm going to call them again tomorrow. I mean, that'd be really interesting to call the same person like every single day and see how many times it would take them saying no before they actually said yes.
Sure.
And maybe that's happened to you where you've had that experience, but I remember Les Brown telling that story where he goes into the radio station looking for a job, and every day they tell him no, until finally he went back one day and they're like, grab a broom, go get some coffee. Yes, start working. So it was really just having that persistence and seeing a vision beyond present circumstances that are going to propel you to have the tenacity to keep going for yes.
Sure. And you're right. I think that you can plan for some of that. I also think that there's that tendency, some of us overplan. And a good example, when we were talking earlier about, I get 100 rejection letters, and quote unquote, people who plan to be writers always ask me, how are you able to stand all that rejection? The answer is I didn't know any better. I truly didn't. Ignorance was bliss in my life. I was so happy just to send out another letter, because with every letter that I was able to send out, there was always that chance. You know, it's like that old Jim Carrey movie, where the girl said, "There's not a chance in a million," and he's like, "So you're saying there's a chance?" You know, uh, and that's how you live it. You can plan your business in so many ways and have it exact until the next human steps in, because they have their own agenda. What you can't do is abandon your plan because of what one person said. You're not going to close your whole business because one person didn't enroll. You're not going to shut down because one kid had a bad day. So you have to keep that in the back of your head going, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is not life-changing. It's just a moment. And like you said, you may call these people, somebody says, well, geez, you know what? I'm really not interested in enrolling. Gee, do you mind if I ask why? Well, yeah, quite frankly, it was too far to go. It's too far to travel. Well, just suppose for a second, distance wasn't an issue. Could you see the benefit of having your child here? Now, the key is there's only two possible answers. Yes, I could, or no, I can't. If they say, yes, I could, okay, then it's not you. It's just not practical for them to be there. If they say, no, I still don't see a benefit, then there's another reason they're saying no, not because of the travel. Now, you can just let it go and move on to the next person, or you can dig deeper. But I do a whole chapter on just suppose. Whenever somebody says no to me, I just reverse it and say, well, just suppose for a second that wasn't true. Then would you do it? Whatever it is. And a lot of times you find out it's their fear, not yours, that's keeping them from making a decision. People go through life, whether they're enrolling or buying a car or buying a house, and all they really want is somebody to reassure them that they're doing the right thing. That is what professional salespeople do. They don't sell anything. We let you buy, and then we tell you made the right choice.
And I love what you were talking about removing those objections to say, well, if distance wasn't an issue, could you see the benefit in coming to our childcare program? That is amazing. And I think with a lot of our viewers, the challenge becomes that we're not even asking for the enrollment to hear the word yes or no. We're letting people tell us like, yes, I'd like to enroll. No, I wouldn't. But we don't necessarily go very aggressively to say, and I'll call it aggressively. It's not really aggressive, or persistently maybe is a better word, but persistently say, will you enroll? Will you enroll? Would you like to enroll your child today? Would you like to enroll? And if they say no, oh, well, may I ask why? So you dig deeper and you find out, and then that may prove to you that it's not you over and over and over again when you do hear no. So I think that's genius.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's that simple, where you can sit there and accept the no and kind of just let out that sign of, oh, I thought it was me. Okay, it's not me, it's them. I'm good. And you can now move on to the next one, But I believe that if you do everything within your power to do a great job telling them everything that you have to offer, I believe if you've done that and you've answered all their questions, you have the right to ask them to make a decision right then and there. Okay? Most people can't because they, in the back of their head, took shortcuts. Oh, yeah, we have snacks. Well, I don't even know what that means. I mean, for me, a snack might be potato chips and bourbon. That's probably not ideal for the kids. But if you are doing a good job and you talk about, we take special dietary care with each individual, and I'm making this stuff up, because I'm not in your world, but you cover all the bases. Whatever it is, if you had a brochure, you covered your brochure with these people verbally.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't ask them to make a decision, you create the doubt in them as to why they should. But if you say, is there anything else I can answer? No. Fantastic. Are you looking to start? however you measure your start dates, tomorrow or next semester, or however your scheduling is set up for enrollment. You have that right. And since you have that right, just like every other right, if you don't exercise it, it's going to be gone. So
Absolutely.
you have to ask.
You have to ask.
Yeah.
You have to ask. Did you get that, Jonna? You have to ask. All right. Well, I'm going to ask John one final question before we wrap up and award some of our prizes. But this is your last chance, everyone who's tuning in, to be our most engaged person for the week who's going to win our marketing video. And then also, Jonna sent me a little note. We're going to award brownies tonight as well for the person who's just most engaged this evening. So if you had an aha, if you have a question, if you want to say hello, go ahead and post that in the comments, and that will give you the opportunity to win our prize for this evening, as well as the prize for tonight. Let's see, John, here we've got, let me hide us here so we can see these. We got a thumbs up going for some of our content. Oh, here's Loretta. She says, you, sir, are a hoot.
Okay. Well, I'll be here all week. I'm doing 2 shows in Vegas.
We'll have him back for more shows. All right. Let's see. Oh, Nikki writes down the word next. Oh, and Loretta was laughing at you, I believe, or laughing. I should say laughing with you. As we often do. What's that?
Yeah, I'm used to it. Either way, I'm here to entertain.
You don't feel rejected?
No. If the screen went blank and all of a sudden I might take that personally.
All right, let me go ahead and, oops, where was that comment? Hide. Okay. So, John, what is the most impactful, my final question for you, what's the most impactful lesson that you feel after all of these years in talking about rejection in your next book talking about next, that you feel that you've learned about rejection? So what is the biggest message you want to leave our viewers with about dealing with rejection or handling rejection, or even saying the word next? If there's anything that comes to mind for you.
I think that the biggest thing is, no matter what, we come out on the other side. And what I mean is, one of the things that I wrote in the book is, by the time you're 18, you've already been rejected 250,000 times. Everything from don't touch the stove to, I told you not to play with Tommy, whatever it might be. And until you're 18, you never really thought of it that way. But then you get into the adult world, and rejection hits you from all angles. On TV, it's telling you what to drive, or if you don't drive this, you're really not, all that, and so on and so forth. But if you look back and you see how many times you've survived and probably thrived through all the other rejections in your past, the next one's not going to be that big a deal. It's when you focus on that next one as like the end all, and you make it bigger than it really is. What I like to say is, you create this rock so big you can't see your goal anymore. And once you can't see it and you can't focus on it, you give up on it. And I see that, unfortunately, far too often. I see people that I feel have amazing talent, amazing potential, amazing gifts, and they're never going to be realized because somebody somewhere told them no, and hurt their feelings. And I look at all the insanity that's going on around us now. I'm not going to get political, but I just see our entire country. All we're doing is calling each other names. And I mean, it's like we stopped doing that in like 4th grade, and now we've reverted back. It doesn't make any sense. We're destined, we're born to be successful. And it's life that, when we let it, takes that away from us, that gift. Figure out what you want. And it's never too late. I remember, and Julie, you may remember, always at our speakers meeting, somebody would always bring up the book Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
Right. And And I remember when somebody tried to give me that book, I thought it was a scam and I threw it away. And somebody else gave me the book and I tossed it back at them. Finally, I sat down and read the book just to shut somebody up. And it was really interesting because it was written in the 20s. And it said that most of us will not see real success until we're 40. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I mean, by the time I'm 40, right? I'm way past that now. By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be kind of old. What's that?
You said a couple years.
Yeah, quite a few. And it was interesting that I signed my first book contract shortly after my 40th birthday. And within a couple of years of that, I had like 5 books and then 10 and now 13. It's not too late. I'm literally going to be launching a brand new company. When a lot of people are going, yeah, I'm tired, I'm going to retire. Just because I can. And will it fail? It could. That doesn't stop me. That's all I'm suggesting to your people. Look, they took the time to build a business, start a business, try and grow a business. You can't let an individual answer slow you down or stop you. It just, and again, everybody on the call is sitting here going, well, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Until that no happens to you in that moment. And then you freak out. And that's okay for a minute. After that, you got to go back to the logic of it's just a no. It's just an event. And when I turn the page in my diary or in my calendar book, all right, or on my smartphone, it's gone. and you just move on. That was my long, profound answer.
Just a word. It's just a word. No, but that was really good, John. That was some great closing points. So again, if you're tuning in and you want some more information about John or his book, John, I'll let you hold up your copy since mine is old.
Oh yeah, I'll hide behind it again.
But go to Amazon.com or search for John Fuhrman and his book Reject Me. I love it. I read it and digested it many, many years ago, and then I brought John on when I was doing a radio program out there in New Hampshire. New England,
that's
anyways. Right. Yeah. Then I had you on for an interview. Remember that?
I do.
Yes. And I've got my signed copy still here. So
my penmanship is much worse now.
Oh, is it? So I got the good penmanship signing?
Yeah, I can almost read it.
I could still read it. Well, that's cool. No, and I really, held dearly in my heart the interview that we had way back then. And I said, this is such an important topic. And I think about our owners and our directors and really everybody in the world who's in business who is letting those rejections really tear holes in their heart. So get John's book and start standing in confidence with the vision that you have and knowing that just a no is just 2 little letters. And that, like he said in his chapters, no rejection can stop you unless you let it. So let's all overcome our rejections and grow incredibly successful childcare programs. That's my wish for you this evening. Anything to add to that, John?
No, I think you kind of capped it up really well. And it is just a little 2-letter word.
It's just 2 letters, right? No. And I remember hearing no as a kid a lot, but I was always a rebellious mind. But it's interesting how when you're a kid and you become rebellious, when you're an adult, then it becomes the need to be liked or to get approval. So then you've got to go a little bit deeper and saying, okay, why is this so impactful now that I'm letting that no bother me or stop me? And I know a lot of our people go through that. So I hope this has been incredibly insightful for everybody who's tuning in. And whether you're here live or listening into the replay of this, please say hello. Let us know where you're from. If there's any questions you have for John, please make sure you ask them and I will forward them on to him. And I'm sure he will be more than happy to touch base with you and get your questions answered. So John, I want to thank you so much for being here with me. And if you're tuning in, nobody leave yet because I've got a couple of prizes to announce. But I want to give you, John, a big virtual hug. And if you want to wait for me, I'll see you in the lobby. But thank you so much for being here. This has been incredibly insightful.
Thanks to all your friends out there too listening, and I appreciate it. I'll wait for you in the green room.
Okay, I'll see you in the green room with some kombucha.
All right.
All right, John. All right, well, the time has come to award some prizes, and I'm going to check here to see what Jonna has written to me. And also, if you're feeling the need to really deepen your relationship with me, I invite you. We're having a couple of things going on. One is the owner's retreat that we've just announced here at my home, and we are waiving the investment for you to come. And I just want you to come and spend the day with me as we work through your plan of action to really transform your childcare program. So if you don't have the details for that, please tag Jonna in a comment here and she will get you that information. Also, if you just want to chat with me to say, Julie, I just really need to know what it is that you have so that I can get involved, whether it's a coaching program or whatever, shoot me a message or tag Jonna in a comment. And it's that easy. We don't have to overcomplicate it. So just get in touch with us and we'll be more than happy to help you. All right, I'm going to go and see what Jonna has to say about prize winners here, if I could read them. All right. Ooh, who do we have here? All right. Ooh, okay. So I've got a winner for tonight. Ooh, and I've got a winner for the marketing video. And I hope you're really excited about these prizes. So if Loretta was here with me, we'd have a drum roll. So I'll do a drum roll. So the winner for this evening's engagement for the brownies is Loretta. So Loretta, congratulations. Loretta Watson-Sowers. You are going to get some of the yummiest brownies on the planet. So I hope you'll enjoy those. And Jonna will be in touch with you. You'll just fill out a prize claim form and we'll be able to get those off to you. And for our big prize, our marketing video, which is the most engagement in our group through this week and including this evening. And if you're not yet part of our free group, come on over. Jonna, I believe, has posted the link for you. So join our group. There's just 3 easy questions and you get into the group. We're being a little selective about who we let in, but it is a totally free group where we can build closer relationships. So our grand prize winner for the marketing video, again, my drum roll, is Nikki. Nikki, congratulations. And again, you'll get a prize claim form where Jonna will be in touch with you so that you can claim that prize. All right, everyone, it has been absolutely fantastic being here with you this evening. I'm Julie Bartkus, and it's been a delight to bring you another episode of the Childcare Business Success Show. Remember, leave your comments, whether you're tuning in live or to the replay. And I absolutely can't wait to help you create your positive, productive, and profitable childcare program. Loretta, you are so welcome. And Nikki, I hope you're just as excited as well. And Jonna will have the information for you. And please tell all your friends that we're airing live Mondays at 6 o'clock, which is 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also doing some live videos in our group for you also. So yesterday we talked about having more successful Mondays and lessening call-outs. So we'll be doing more of that. All right, I don't know if there's anything else I want to tell you. I think that's it for this evening. Thank you so much. I'll come back and read through the comments once John and I are done in the green room. But thank you so much for being here. And remember to go grab Reject Me, I Love It by my friend, John Fuhrman. All right, good night, everyone. I'll see you soon.